Instagram is a tool which you use to look at other people's awesome vacation photos, their yachts, their planes, their cars, and feel miserable about themselves. LinkedIn is similarly another thing that you use to feel miserable about yourself because other people have certain kinds of achievements that they've gotten done. They've started companies, they've sold companies, they've just done all these things. There is a way you can actually start to disconnect and build this instinctive knowledge that you are on your own unique career path. Nobody else is on the same career path, and you should be free from comparison. Hey, this is Shobit from Intentional Product Manager. Now, I'm going to be talking about the 10 things that keep product managers up at night, that worry them, that make them nervous. So if you're a product manager or an aspiring product manager, you gotta watch this. Stay tuned for more. So thing number one that keeps them up at night, stakeholder disagreements. Stakeholder management is one of the fundamental jobs of product managers. Whether we like it or not, it is. And the reason why it's so important is ultimately you are the single unifying factor. You're in the middle. You're the person who's trying to figure out how do you deliver an awesome product while meeting the needs of the most important stakeholders. Now, what is a given? A given is that these stakeholders, whether it's your head of sales, your marketing counterpart, your engineering counterpart, your customer success counterpart, different customer representatives, they all want new product features. And they all want different product features. So what's common always in like all product management roles is that you never have enough engineering capacity to meet all these goals and all these requirements. Because if you did, well then why do they need you? They need you for prioritization. So these disagreements are bound to happen. Some people are more persistent than others, and you'll have a lot more disagreements on what is the most important priority. But at the end of the day, they are part of life. But what I've seen is a lot of product managers take them as a personal insult, almost a personal affront that, hey, if I'm not giving them what they want, they don't like me, and that's what keeps them up at night. And the key is for you to build skills such that you can agree to disagree, for lack of a better word. You can agree that they want something, you're not going to give that, you're going to deliver on something else, but you still have that sense of mutual respect and have them respect you for making the hard decisions. So number one thing that keeps product managers up at night is stakeholder disagreements. Okay, here's another thing that keeps product managers up at night, their imposter syndrome. You have probably heard of imposter syndrome. What's imposter syndrome? It's that you feel that you are worse off than you really are. You feel underqualified for the role you're in. In fact, as the name says, you feel like an imposter, that you weren't really meant to be there, that there was some sort of hiring mistake which got you there. And the worst part with this thing is that it only increases the higher up you go in the organization. If you are under some sort of impression that once I achieve more, once I get to the next level, I'll start to feel worthy, boy, you're in for a whole bunch of disappointment and a bigger surprise. Because the higher up you go, the more you're going to feel the imposter syndrome. So the key to imposter syndrome is really about your interpretation. Most of the times, product managers, they think that by getting external validation, they'll feel appreciated, they'll feel the success, and so then they'll feel this imposter syndrome disappear. But the fact is that we have this system in our brain, it's called the reticular activating system. Reticular activating system. I know I said that twice, but the name's not important. Really, what's important is that you to realize that, look, of everything that your eyes get, you hear, you have senses, you have thoughts going on, your brain can process a tiny fraction of that. So your brain has this system that just like removes a whole bunch of stuff that's not relevant. So what happens that the brain removes more positive things than negative things, and you perceive things to be more negative than they are. So there are specific techniques that you can use such that you build up your confidence, you get rid of this imposter syndrome, or at least you minimize it such that it disturbs you much less. But that's one of the things that really affects product managers, which is not feeling confident enough and feeling that sense of imposter syndrome that's going on. Okay, so the next thing that keeps product managers up at night is lack of clarity on their career path. Not understanding where they are, where they could ultimately get to, and what's the optimal way from them to specialize and ultimately build an amazing career. I see people questioning all the time, should I stay at my job? Should I go? If I go, where do I go? Is it worth it for me to go to Google or Amazon? Maybe I should join an early stage startup. Maybe I should do something else. And most of the times, product managers are moving away from things that they don't want. Their career path is based on, hey, at my current job, these stakeholders are a mess. So I want one where there's less stakeholder management. They're avoiding things that they have right now rather than going after things that they want. And to be honest, there was a time in my career where I was getting to the next job purely based on that. It was, hey, this job sucks in this way. I don't get along with the CEO. I want a job where I get along with the CEO. Bam, I went there. Bam, in a bit, I again didn't get along with the CEO. Rather than shooting for, this is what I want from my career, this is where I want to be long term, what's the path to get there, I did make mistakes and then recovered on understanding how do I reposition it. So, folks that work with me in any of the programs, especially intentional job search, the first thing we get clear on where they want to be long term and what it is that they want from this next role. What are the things that are truly important for them? And only when we get that clarity, we decide, okay, this is what you need to do. Here's how you need to position yourself. These are the interviews you need to get good at. Here's how you're going to network. All the strategies follows from what you want. So what keeps product managers up at night is a lack of clarity on their career path. And by getting rid of that, now you've suddenly solved a whole bunch of problems. You know what you need to do and you know how to get there. Thing number 4 that keeps product managers up at night is speaking up at big meetings, at big events, especially where they're presenting. Product, whether it's a product presentation, roadmap presentation, business case, business review, whatever it is, that's one that evokes a lot of fear and concern in product managers because, you're on center stage. You are defending your thought process. You're defending what is done and what you propose to do. And I understand this could be a terrifying situation. At the same time, what most product managers get wrong about this thing is that they put too much pressure on the presentation itself. Look, the presentation should be a non-event. You need to build alignment, you need to build supporters before you go into the presentation. If it was purely based on my presentation skills, I would have not achieved many things that I did during, whether it was time at Google or some of the startups that I worked at. It was my ability to connect with people, gain alignment before, have them as supporters, and when questions came and bullets started firing, I didn't even need to answer all questions because somebody else would jump in. Oh yeah, this is what we should do, Shobit and I spoke. And because I had that alignment and that support from others, I could move forward with a lot more confidence. And of course, during this process, I built up my presentation skills as well. But the biggest thing or one of the things that keeps product managers up at night is presenting and speaking up at big meetings. Another thing that keeps product managers up at night is dreaded product releases. The time when you ultimately decide to ship that product. That is what keeps them up at night, because look, it might have been like weeks of work, it might have been months of work, might have been sometimes over a year or 2 years of work that you're now finally releasing into the market. It could be a stressful time, because what if nobody actually wants it, or nobody's able to understand it? Your metrics are below where you wanted it to be. You couldn't get those usage numbers that you wanted. There's a sense of everything is on the line. And all these what if things, right? Like, what if I ship a product that's completely buggy, that doesn't work for my customer solution, or my customer's problems? What if I ship something that leaks their data? God forbid. Like, all these things are there. And so release time, product releases is one of the things that keeps product managers up at night. Another thing that keeps product managers up at night is their review cycles. When they tell the committee about all the great work that they've done, and they are put on a scale of not meeting expectations, meeting expectations, exceeding expectations, and there might be a decision on whether you get promoted or whether you get told, good job, please stay there. All the time. That's one of the things that keeps product managers up at night. And it is similar to many of the things where the emphasis is on the wrong thing. So the emphasis that I've seen is on how do I make a great case for my promotion. That's really not the right way to approach it. Because if you're making the case right at that point, you're a little bit late to the game. What should happen is instead you have agreed with your manager and the stakeholders that support you on what are the things that they need to see to support you to get promoted, right? What are the things that they actually need to see you achieve over the next 6 months to a year? What are the things you need to demonstrate? And are you set up for success for that? In the sense of, do you have the right projects that demonstrate the skills? Are you building alliances with the right kinds of stakeholders? Have you understood what got other people promoted? Like, all those things are crucial for you to get ahead of this thing of last minute try to figure out what is going to get you promoted, rather than the whole thing of doing work that gets you promoted and does great things for the company or product and so on and so forth. I never say that only do things that will get you promoted, because that's just not true. You have to meet this certain expectation of shipping product, doing something good for your customers, doing great at your job, and then you have to find out what are the things that will help you get promoted and be a huge benefit for your company. So you have to always balance both. But the thing that keeps product managers up at night, promotion cycles, review cycles. So we've talked about 7 things. This is a big one. It's unfinished work, where you're trying to squeeze in work that probably is going to take 100 hours into a 40-hour work week, or how many hours you work, but you're just trying to squeeze everything in. And what I hear is that, look, there's a lack of time. My problem is a lack of time. Holy shit, that's everyone's problem. There's always not enough time if you have boundless goals, if you have boundless to-do lists. However, if your to-do lists are well defined to be the most effective things, I will argue that most product managers have more than enough time. Where they lack is a lack of prioritization and a lack of negotiation. Prioritization in what they really need to achieve, negotiation in negotiating with other people what they deliver to them. So just as an example, I remember getting this email from someone that, hey, it was Thursday. It's like, I need these 5-page forms filled out by Monday. That's a deadline for everyone. Copying like my skip level manager and everyone. I was like, cool, let's talk about it. So can you please tell me what happens if this doesn't do this? She's like, no, I just set the deadline for myself. It's not a big deal, really. Oh, okay, so then when will something go wrong if this deadline is missed? Probably 2-3 weeks. I'm like, cool, I'll get it done in 2-3 weeks. That's not a problem. Negotiate it. You agreeing to things too soon is one of the things that is causing you to want to please other people. Actually, that's the cause for it. And so now you're ending up with too much work. Let me bring in one thing. So this is the reality for most people. I saw this at a coffee shop and I had to buy it. It was up for sale, which is, oh, I offended you with my opinion. You should hear the ones that I keep to myself. As far as these deadlines are concerned and working with stakeholders, that's what product managers are doing. They're just keeping too many things to themselves. And the cost of keeping too many things to themselves, not expressing their opinion, is that they are ultimately having to do a lot more work than they actually needed to do. The next thing that keeps product managers up at night is not being technical enough. I've seen so much worry on, this is what my engineers expect me to be. They expect me to talk in certain ways, understand certain concepts, and I feel lost at meetings. I feel lost there, and I'm just like not technical enough. That's one of the things that keeps product managers up at night, not being technical enough, not having the knowledge enough, and not going in with confidence in those meetings with engineers. Here's the next thing that keeps product managers up at night: their manager and their relationship with their manager. I've seen people who worked with me to prepare for the manager meeting, and then the meeting got cancelled. And they were so happy. It was like a sigh of relief that, hey, I don't have to talk about this with my manager. And look, ultimately, this is one article I do recommend to people. I think it's called Managing Your Boss or Managing Your Manager, Harvard Business Review. It's crucial. See, many of us are building this wrong relationship with our managers. It's like, a parent-child relationship where, oh, that's the all-knowing parent, knows everything, and we're the children. They'll care for us, but also we should always try to please them. While the relationship really needs to be of one of mutual dependence between two fallible human beings. I don't know if I'm saying fallible right, but doesn't matter. The idea is that they both make mistakes. They are mutually dependent on each other. And so what you need to do is to treat that relationship as such and not have your one-on-ones with your manager be such a big deal. Those one-on-ones need to be very much about, hey, aligning, are we on the right things? Course correction, strategy discussions, maybe some updates, but ultimately you have to go in with the idea and the mindset that your manager has your best interest at heart. Because first of all, most of the times they actually do. They want you to succeed, because if you succeed, they get good quality work, they succeed, they get promoted, you get promoted as a result. Like, all these things work in unison. They're not here to get you fired. Well, in some cases they might be after you've messed up or just like the dynamic was not good. But ultimately, they're not here to get you fired. So repairing this relationship is one of the crucial things. Otherwise, it is one of those things that will always keep you up at night. And now let's talk about the biggest thing, the thing that really keeps product managers up at night. All about them falling behind their peers. I won't know a single person who, like, really, if you get to know them well, they at least have some inkling of this one person who did really well and they couldn't achieve to that level, and so they are miserable, they're not happy, they feel like they've been falling behind while everyone else is moving forward, or at least this one person is moving forward. And so it is very crucial for you to know that this is one of those things that probably helps you or also keeps you up at night. That's the last thing. I kept it for last because it's such a big deal. Like, this is one of those trigger points. When I speak with PMs, when I'm coaching them, it does come back to this one thing that I am not good enough because somebody else achieved these things which I have not achieved. And I mean, let's face it, most of our social media platforms at this point, they've become comparison tools. I mean, Instagram is a tool which you use to look at other people's awesome vacation photos, their yachts, their planes, their cars, and feel miserable about themselves. LinkedIn is similarly another thing that you use to feel miserable about yourself because other people have certain kinds of achievements that they've gotten done. They've started companies, they've sold companies, they've just done all these things. And I mean, I won't say I've been immune to that. I was not in that boat at some point in time. In fact, I remember back when I was applying to business school, we used to have these things called Business Week forums. And people would post their profile, this is what they're doing, this is the themes that they've written, get some feedback. But the biggest thing I used it for, and a lot of people used it for, is hearing news from other people on them getting the admission and feeling miserable about themselves. I don't know why, but we did, and I see this happen all the time right now. Like, I would say that's half of LinkedIn usage is people feeling miserable about themselves. So there is a way you can actually start to disconnect and build this instinctive knowledge that you are on your own unique career path. Nobody else is on the same career path, and you should be free from comparison. I think I've, after a lot of work, crossed that place, and it's taken a lot of work, and I love to help my clients get past these. So those were the 10 things that keep product managers up at night. Now look, you can keep staying up at night. You can take all of these and just be like, hey, I'm just gonna keep being miserable. Or if you want help in both fixing your mindset and then also getting your career to the next level so that you don't have to face these challenges, I invite you to book a call with us. Now, we can't accommodate everyone. It has to be people who we think we're a good fit for this call. I'll leave a link here for you to go and apply for it. That's one of the fastest ways that you can get past any of these challenges that you might face. I look forward to speaking with you very, very soon. Take care.